Greetings everybody, this is Leviathan here, and today I'm continuing my series of Greater Rift 20 builds that can help you at the start of your season to get your last Haedrig's gift bag, because that's one of the last objectives that you'll be doing on chapter 4 of your seasonal journey. And once you complete that and you have all the other objectives complete, of course, then you'll get that third Haedrig gift bag, get your 6-piece set, and be off to the races, literally steed charging all over the place. So as you can see on screen today, we're covering the Crusader. In the last video we did do Demon Hunter, so if you're interested in that, check that out on the channel here. Looking at this, it's going to be a pretty simple affair. It's the Invoker set for the Crusaders in Season 13. And again, a reminder, Season 13 starts on Friday, February 23rd. That's coming up in just a few days now. We're very excited and stoked for that. So if you're going to be starting with the Crusader, I've got all the tips and tricks that you need to get this done. Again, I test my builds here for the Greater Rift 20 under like the worst possible circumstances, in the hopes that you will never ever have to go through this, because you should at least have many better pieces of gear, at least roll your gear, things like that. So if you want to see the testing circumstances, I removed all my Paragon, so 0 points, as if I'm just Paragon level 0. Of course, you will probably be a higher level of Paragon by the time you're attempting Greater Rift 20, so you'll have a few points to assign. I dismissed my follower. Even if you're playing in groups, you know, when you go to do your Greater Rift 20, it has to be solo, so you might as well hire your follower, throw some things on it. Maybe you got lucky, you got an Oculus ring or something that can be helpful. I also made sure that my cube is simulated as having no powers in it. You might, along the way, cube a couple of powers, maybe an Aquila Cuirass in the armor slot, right? Maybe a Mortal Drama for some more bombardments coming down from the sky. But in any case, I went and chose some powers that, since you can't unequip things in the cube, just don't have any effect in Greater Rift. So we have Avarice Band, Gold Wrap, those are both gold related. Gold does not drop in the Greater Rift. And we have a Blade of Prophecy, which of course there's no Condemn in this Invoker setup, so that's not going to do anything for us. And speaking of the skills, we'll go ahead and quickly breeze through those. I basically was just like, Invokers, Thorns, let's take all the Thorns skills. So for those of you who are familiar with the set, the 2-piece power makes it so that your slash deals Thorns, slash or punish. I like slash because it has a little bit more AoE component to it. So I want to slash Zeal, and Zeal increases your attack speed as you keep slashing. And really this build is just like click, click, click. You're just going to slash as much as you can to apply your Thorns. Bombardment, Barrel of Spikes, another Thorns delivery. I like to use this whenever it's off cooldown, because the 4-piece set bonus is the one that's linked to your defense, so you get a damage reduction whenever Bombardment is cast, and it lasts for, I believe, 20 seconds. So you just basically always want to cast Bombardment when it's off cooldown. Hopefully you have some enemies around you too, and that way you'll just always keep that defensive buff up. Steed Charge with Spiked Barding, it's the Thorns rune for Steed Charge, gives you a little bit of mobility. If there are a couple of enemies that have low HP, you can just ride through them and kill them. Iron Skin, Reflective Skin, you might want to keep this for elite fights as well, like if you just want to buff your Thorns damage up considerably. That's exactly what this is going to do for you. Of course, also lends you some safety. You get some damage reduction here as well for a few seconds, so this is a great one when you're in the middle of an elite pack. Just pop this and they should die pretty darn quickly. Consecration, Bed of Nails. I like this because, again, it's giving you a little bit more AoE for your Thorns. You can use this if you ever come across like a nice pack of trash mobs, or maybe you do have another elite around and your other skills are on cooldown. Then you can go ahead and pop Consecration. That's a nice one for you. There's also some healing benefits there too. And then Akarat's Champion Prophet, you're likely not going to have a ton of CDR. You're not going to have likely an Akarat's Awakening, like the awesome shield that reduces your cooldowns. So this will just be mainly popped whenever you're in an elite fight, or if you feel like you're close to death. You know, we're not using a cheat death here. So you do have Akarat's Champion with Prophet, which is nice and tanky, and also gives you that built-in cheat death. So feel free to throw that on whenever you feel like you're in danger, but you can also just use it to get elites down faster. Last but not least, the passives, very quickly. Fervor, your one-handed passive. You get more attack speed, more cooldown reduction. Fits right into the Thorns playstyle. Iron Maiden, more Thorns. Gotta get that Thorns up. There you go. And Lord Commander, a nice one here because it definitely very much cuts the cooldown on your bombardment, so you can definitely keep that casted. And make sure that you keep that 4-piece bonus up like I described earlier. And it also reduces the cooldown of your Steed Charge. So there's actually some nice interplay there with 2 of your main skills. And last but not least, Hold Your Ground. This increases our block chance up to 30%, and your shield can likely, you know, the middle would be 15%, the max 20%. So if you got a 20% on your shield, and then this 30%, that's a 50% chance to block. and your blocks will also increase your Thorns on the 2-piece when it comes to the gear. And so I'll actually go ahead and segue right into the gear. Your first 2 Haedrig's gifts will grant you the helm, the shoulders, the gloves, and the boots for the Invoker set. You can see the powers. Your Thorns damage now hits all enemies in a 15-yard radius around you each time you hit an enemy with Punish or Slash, like I was mentioning, or block and attack. Your Thorns is increased by 140% for 2 seconds. So you just, you want to synergize for more attack speed to get more stacks of that 2-piece bonus. Also, as you block things, you'll also get more stacks as well. So you really want to put yourself in the fray, right in the middle of everything, and you'll be able to get a bunch of stacks and do way more Thorns damage. And like I mentioned, the 4-piece bonus, you take 50% less damage for 20 seconds after damaging an enemy with bombardment. So I guess that actually is key to make sure that there are enemies around you when you cast the bombardment, which likely there should be, because then that'll be when it activates and gives you that defensive bonus. So yeah, the other part of my testing is that I don't roll any of the gear. I just got these, random pieces of Invokers, none of them ancient, just to replicate getting, mediocre pieces. Again, just the standard, nothing to write home about. And then I filled out the rest of my slots with crafted gear from Haedrig. Went for a dagger, because like I mentioned, attack speed is nice to have when it comes to Thorns setups. No socket in there, so we don't even have like a topaz to put in there to get more Thorns on our side. And then just, random pieces, and then the jeweler to outfit the rings and amulet and such. And one thing to note, for those who are unfamiliar with Thorns mechanics, Thorns does not crit, so you don't care about crit stats. So actually, crappy gear can be pretty darn good for Thorns setups. And Thorns also benefits from the physical element, so you want your, bracers or amulet, ideally to have some physical percent on there. That would be nice for you, and would super duper aid you in clearing your Greater Rift 20 very quickly. But as you can see, I didn't get any of that synergy at all. But with all of those circumstances in mind, we'll go ahead and flip over into the clear here. I did it on stream last night, so you can go ahead and check out the video. All those circumstances, we still destroyed this Greater Rift, and it wasn't even that great of a Greater Rift. I'm like, where are the enemies? And so we come across some of these spiders and such. And basically the gameplay for it is you come across enemies, if you have a decent amount of them around, go ahead and kind of, get in the middle so that they're all aggroed coming toward you, and then just slash stuff until it dies. That's really the gist of it. Whenever an elite pops up, go ahead and hit your cooldowns. You can even kind of stagger it, and so like if one elite comes up, maybe just throw out your Iron Skin, but save your Akkhan's Champion. Then when the next elite comes up, throw out your Akkhan's Champion, but then save your Iron Skin, or, whatever's kind of on rotation in your cooldown and available for use. I would go ahead and just throw that down. You don't really need all the cooldowns in conjunction because it's actually overkill. You do a lot of damage, surprisingly. It might look like, it's taken a while for things to die, taking a while, and then suddenly everything just dies. The only time that I felt I was really in danger in terms of maybe not surviving or anything like that would just be the moments where I hadn't casted my bombardment and that 4-piece damage reduction had fallen off. So, that's something, again, to be cognizant of, making sure that you're throwing it out whenever you have the enemies around you and the capability to hit that skill, since it is a long cooldown skill. And really, try to be mobile in terms of moving around with the horse. There are definitely tons of improvements you can make, right? So like I mentioned, there's some things that you can cube in terms of getting yourself useful powers and situations. Immortal Drama might be one. Even like the Belt of the Trove or an Omni Slash, both of those would either be great to wear or cube, just to help you out with more bombardments dropping and having more AoE on your slash. Tons of stuff. You can also even do just a Greater Rift that's not a 20 before you do the Greater Rift 20. And the very first guaranteed legendary gem is a Bane of the Powerful. And that can help you just, again, clear out those elites even faster, activate that bonus and get some more damage into the build. In Act 1 bounty caches, you can get the Sanguinary Vam Braces. So as you see, our Bracer slot is still a rare because the 6-piece, when you finally fill out the 6-piece set, the last Haedrig's gift will give you the bracers that go with the Invoker set. But prior to that, you could go ahead and equip Sanguinary Vam Braces. That one's tough to say. And that'll give you some nice AoE for Thorns as well, and it really kicks things up a notch. So if you find that, you're pretty lucky, and you might be looking for a Ring of Royal Grandeur or something in your Act 1 bounties and just come across those bracers. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And honestly, that's about it. There's not really too much else to this. I'm gonna go ahead and just leave you with the rest of the clear. If you have questions, feel free to pop into the comments section and let me know. But pretty much Invoker is not going to be that bad of a start for Crusaders. It's not the fastest in terms of farming, like you really do want to get into the Akkhan Condemn setup, but this is more than capable of getting you there, farming it, and getting you into some nice, greater rifts, unlock those primals at 70 and such. So yeah, I want to go ahead and hear from you guys. Are you going to play Crusader to start the season? Actually, what class is everyone going to play? Let me know. Again, ask any of your questions. I got you covered. Make sure you check out the stream. As you can see, it's on the top left there, twitch.tv/Leviathan111. We will be doing a 24-hour stream to kick off Season 13 start. It's always a really hype event. I'm very, very excited. Also doing my solo self-found league that we're kicking off in conjunction with Season 13. I'll put a bunch of links to things in the video description. So if you want to research some other stuff that's going on with me and the stream and the channel, definitely feel free to do so. And of course, I should mention there is a Diablo fans link to give you a build guide for this in case you like the written format a little bit better than this spoken word format. So go ahead and check all those out again in the video description. And I'll see you guys in the next video on the channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. See you next time.